I do not expect moves of this size to be common. From the perspective of today, either a 50 basis point or a 75 basis point increase seems most likely at our next meeting. We will, however, make our decisions meeting by meeting, and will continue to communicate our thinking as clearly as we can.
What do you think, what do you walk away with as the most striking change in Fed Chair Powell's tone today?
75 basis points is a bold statement that Powell and the Fed will do what needs to be done to control inflation. They haven't done that in a very long time, and he said we could do 50 or 75 next time. It won't be common, but it's out there as a tool. The Fed has left la-la land in terms of believing that it could get away with solving this inflation problem with a little trimming around the edges. It's got this shears out and it's ready to whack, I guess is the best way to put it, when it comes to an overgrown bush of inflation in the economy.
This is the big picture. This is 1895 to 2015, 120 years of the Dow. And what you see here is the giant crash of 1929. That was the giant crash of 1929. And you look over here, this is the giant crash. I mean, everybody talks about the giant crash of 1987. There it is there. It nearly wiped out the US. This put us into a depression for 25 years, that little blip there. Now you look at what's happening, this is 2000, this is 2008, and here we are today. If this baby crashes again, how big will it be? If you look historically, what's happened today is the nominal debt to GDP is a correlation of M2, the volume of money, times the velocity of money. And the reason Yellen and Powell are scrambling is because they've expanded M2, so everybody thinks there's going to be inflation. But velocity of money, the velocity of money is plummeting. People are not spending. So they pump all this money in, prices go up. Meanwhile, the Asians are catching up now. The ports are finally open, so it is transitory inflation. But the problem is we're stacked with this massive debt, and all it's done is bump up the stock market and real estate market. The money has not gone into the economy. That's the sad part. So the rich get richer, but the poor and middle class are getting poorer.
In 2000, NASDAQ came down 82%, which was fairly brutal. Amazon came down 92%. But the Federal Reserve raced to the rescue so loudly and strongly that they stopped the decline in the S&P at trend line. It only declined 50%. 50% is a hell of a big decline, but it was only enough to get it back then to trend. This time trend is at most 2,500. And I would expect, even if the Federal Reserve tries to do the same, it will be hard to prevent the market from declining to that level.
The reason I don't care for Yellen or Powell, because they're both Marxist. The establishment of a central bank, this is a direct quote, is 90% of a communizing of a nation. The best way to destroy the capitalist system is to debauch the currency. They're actually Marxist organizations.
So just recently, the repo market inverted again, which means we're going down. It means recession's ahead. But my concern is now revolution, because when people can't afford to eat tuna, we're going to have rioting. So it's a whole different type of bubble burst. When Biden took us off the pipeline, oil prices went up. Oil produces fertilizer. And when fertilizer is no longer cheap, people can't produce food.
Also, you're talking about the opportunity of a lifetime. And the reason, having experiences, I own several tons of gold now, and I own oil wells. The problem with oil going from 30 to 130 just temporarily was it wiped out the middle class, inflation. And food prices are going to go through the roof because natural gas and oil go hand in hand, and that's how you make fertilizer.
All coins have three sides, heads, tails, and the edge. And as a free individual, we stand on the edge looking at both sides. Do I think they can pay off that debt? Personally, no. So the question is not what the government's going to do about that. What am I going to do about that? Because I'm not going to change the government. You know what I mean? It's so corrupt, as you know. I own gold mines, and silver mines. I invest in cattle, water, oil. Everything the Fed cannot print, I'll invest in. But that's my philosophy. I don't recommend what I do because I'm $1 billion in debt. But debt is money. That's why I pay zero taxes also, legally. And I can do that because I understand macroeconomics and finance. I'm more afraid of Fed coin than anything else. It'll totally be central control of the economy and our lives. They'll monitor everything we do by how we spend our money. Our freedom will be gone. So the Fed coin, and what happened in China, they just denounced Bitcoin. I think they want to take away all of our rights with gold, silver, and crypto and go back to full centralized control. Just look at it again. Janet Yellen came from the Fed. So does this guy Powell. It's now the Treasury and the Fed are one centralized government.
You just said that you do anticipate that the government may make Bitcoin illegal, especially if there is the Fed coin, the central bank digital currency, taking the People's Bank of China's lead there, which, as we said, is tremendously disconcerting in that it is a complete eradication of privacy and total government control. So if you think that the government is going to step in and outlaw Bitcoin, why does it make sense to invest in Bitcoin?
Fascism is capitalism in decay. Right now, it makes sense to get out of the reach of the Fed and the Treasury. Fed coin is one more step into fascism. So what I am doing is I am buying gold, silver, Bitcoin, and cash, and I hate to say this, wallets, because I got deplatformed for that, because they're going to start track with this blockchain. They can track everything. So they can, as I forgot the comedian, but he said they're going to track you by your bullet. So they can track everything now. So I want everything possible, gold, silver, Bitcoin, and my bullets, that are not trackable. You cannot trace me. Gold is for saving, silver is for spending, and bullets are for protecting. You've got to control that for yourself.